Cultivating Love, Wisdom for Life, where integrated wisdom is the best way to live. My name is Dr. Ken McGill, the author of the Cultivating Love book series, and today in this episode, I'd like to continue talking about what's in the box of my new book, Cultivating Love, Wisdom for Life. And in this episode, we're going to look at the contents of Section 1 in the book, which is titled Integrated Wisdom, the Ultimate Way to Live. So I'm glad you've chosen to accompany me on this journey to take a deep dive into looking at the subject of wisdom and how the application of wisdom tools and processes could assist you to become skilled at living. So allow me to shed some light on where we're going and what we'll encounter in Section 1, Integrated Wisdom, the Ultimate Way to Live. So as you start reading the book, you'll hear me talk about 7 core areas and 1.0, 1.5, and 2.0. And you may be asking yourself, is this going to be a math class or something? I didn't sign up for this course. And I can answer with a resoundingly no. This is not going to be an algebra, trigonometry, nor calculus class. However, these numbers are connected to the locus of my integrated treatment process in the Cultivating Love book series, which is extracted from the New Testament scripture where the 2 greatest commandments are written in Luke 10, 25 through 37. So decades ago, when I read, "Love the Lord your God with all of your heart and with all of your soul and with all of your strength and with all of your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself," I interpreted that there are 7 core areas that comprise who we are. From this scripture, I deduced that we are 1, spiritual, 2, cognitive, 3, emotional, 4, physical/biological, and 5, sexual beings. So it's my interpretation that these 5 core areas align with the first greatest commandment. But we're also 6 social/relational beings and 7 environmental beings. That is, we are agents of change for good. And these align with the second greatest commandment. So throughout my life, I've often thought, if I can practice and become skilled and proficient with these 2 greatest commandments, then I'm going to get something right in my thinking, in my emotions, in my behaviors, and in the relationships in which I interact. So by focusing on the development and the growth of targeted characteristics and behaviors related to my 7 core areas, which sometimes I also often refer to as 7 rows in the garden of my life, I'll become a better person and I'll become a more fruitful human being due to choosing to live by the values and virtues that are identified and inferred in this passage of scripture. So what about the 1.0, the 1.5, and the 2.0? Well, as I consider the same scripture, it invites me to, first of all, love my higher power, my God, which I refer to as the 1.0 commandment. And then second, it is inferred and invites me to love myself, which I refer to as the 1.5 or the middle commandment. And then finally, it invites me to love my neighbor as I love myself, which I call the 2.0 commandment. So the 1.0 focuses on integrating the superlative form of love from a loving God to grow in your spirit. The 1.5 focuses on you integrating that type of love you receive from your higher power and other forms of wisdom into yourself in your effort to love yourself. And then finally, the 2.0 focuses on sharing the same love and same wisdom that you've grown in yourself in your affairs with others, that is your neighbors. And the classical Greek word for neighbor, plesion, refers to the person who is always in closest proximity to you. So by receiving love and guidance from my loving God, the first or 1.0 commandment, I'm edified and I'm empowered to love and reparent myself to live a good, sound, practical, and inspired life, which is the middle or 1.5 commandment. And that helps me to choose to do the next right thing with others, naturally and therapeutically, as I endeavor to fulfill the second or 2.0 commandment. So this is a little background for you as we turn to what's in section 1 of Cultivating Love, Wisdom for Life. So what's in the section 1 and where are we going in this section? Well, first, as I mentioned, we'll take a look at integrated wisdom is the ultimate way to live. And that section provides the rationale for the integrated information and tools and wisdom for life from the disciplines of psychology, theology, neurobiology, to name a few areas, to assist you in your growth process where the goals of your actions are to demonstrate that you are, number 1, loving yourself, 1.5 behaviors, and which strengthens your ability to love your neighbors, 2.0 behaviors, as you love yourself. Second, we'll define and describe the 7 core areas. And with each of your 7 core areas, you'll read about, first, the goal of that area. Second, the importance of the core area in your life. Third, the fruit that you'll receive from that core area. That is what it will take for you to be fruitful in this row of your life garden. Fourth, the contaminants in that core area. That is what could disrupt your ability to be fruitful. 5, a suggested activity to strengthen the core area. And then finally, 6, the skill that you'll want to develop due to your work in this core area of your life. So embedded in what you'll read about and you'll learn about in each core area is the acrostic GAS, G-A-S, which stands for goal, activity, and skill. Let me explain. In each core area, I'll define terms and provide insights about each area, then challenge you to kind of gas up for your journey by looking at the G, the goal of each core area, then suggested A, activities for you to engage in to reach your goals, and then S, which stands for the skill behavior to be cultivated because of your engagement in the activity connected to that core area. So third, once you become familiar with your 7 core areas, you'll take a look at the concepts of attachment and attunement and explore how the Shema and blessing principles profoundly shape your psychological development across your lifespan. So by applying these principles to Erik Erikson's 8 stages of psychosocial development, it's my hope that you'll discover how their presence strengthens your ability, or in some cases, their absence hinders your ability to practice 1.5 behaviors of loving yourself, and subsequently, in turn, 2.0 behaviors of loving your neighbor over the course of your lifetime. So together, these integrated principles are essential for developing, expressing, and experiencing the wisdom-filled life that you were created to live. Another exercise in section 1, which is creating a portrait of wisdom. The purpose of that exercise is to create a living display of your wisdom in action as you paint into reality wise, healthy adult mode behaviors into existence, one behavioral brushstroke at a time, that reflects that you are learning about attunement, attachment, and other skill behaviors all across the 7 core areas of your life. And your portrait of wisdom will be based on the next exercise in section 1, which is titled, Give Us This Day Our Daily Bread. In this exercise, you'll find suggestions regarding how to incorporate what you are learning in your daily life and in your daily actions for your personal and your relational benefit and growth, typically over the course of a year. Growth of wisdom is not going to happen overnight. You'll be working in your garden, and so these exercises encourage you to at least gauge yourself, pace yourself, and know that wisdom is a fruit that you could be grown in your life, but it will take time. It's not necessarily immediate. At times, might be some supernatural growth, but most of the time, I think that our higher power operates within a natural time system. So next in section 1 comes what I call the 31 flavors of wisdom, which are 2-minute in length entries containing practical insights identified in the book of Proverbs, as the 31 flavors are 31 words or processes that are repeated numerously by the authors throughout the course of the book whenever the word wisdom is used or found. So with each flavor, you'll learn 3 things. Number 1, the meaning, the essence, and the significance of the word. Number 2, the practical appearance and nutritional value of the word. And number 3, an example of the word in action with your neighbors in your life. And that's called Who Deserves Some of This Seasoning. So many of the words or the principles in the 31 flavors of wisdom are found in psychology or neurobiology, and it makes sense to me that integrating these principles and flavors into your daily activity will yield productive experiences in your life and in your relationships. So next in section 1 is what I call the 18, which is the heart of wisdom. And these are 18 edifying behaviors that define and demonstrate the superlative form of love from God, which flows from the Greek word agape. So here, definitions, insights, and skills are connected to each word, and they are offered in addition to ways to evaluate if the word is taking root in your life. So with each word in this subsection, I'll answer 4 important questions, which correlates to the acrostics WISE. If you hadn't picked it up by now, I love acrostics. So, and this acrostic is WISE or WISE. And so the 4 questions are: W, what is God wanting me to see, know, and comprehend regarding the definition of this word? I, insight. What is the most important insight that I need to learn from the definition of this word? S, skilled behavior. Based on the definition and the important insight, what actions and or skilled behavior do I need to practice in my effort to become wise? And then E, evaluate. What measurable behavior will determine my effectiveness based on the definition, insight, and skill behavior that I'll practice? So I'll certainly give you my feedback and answers, but by all means, apply the suggestions to your own life situation. Put your fingerprints on it and make it work for you in your life. So next, we turn to the wisdom tools. And the first 2 wisdom tools are exercises to cultivate enlightenment, empowerment, and their suggested strategies to improve your conscious contact with your God in your effort to support your well-being and to enrich your relationships. So the first 2 wisdom tool exercises are: wisdom tool number 1, practicing your spiritual disciplines to connect and hear from God, and wisdom tool number 2, discovering your spiritual gifts. So as mentioned, these exercises are presented to assist you in your effort to cultivate your conscious connection with your higher power and to identify methods by which you might use your skills and talents to assist others, again, which flow from your connection with God. So, although wisdom is substantiated by the production of wise behaviors for your benefit and for the benefit of others, the process of growing and becoming wise begins, as you can imagine, internally within your brain, your mind, your body, and your spirit. And that said, section 1 ends with 4 more wisdom tools, and it's my goal for you to utilize these wisdom tools to create safety, security, attunement, sanity, stability, connection, and more, which are all necessary ingredients in the creation of wisdom to be reflected in your person and in your relationships. So the 4 remaining wisdom tools in section 1 are Wisdom tool number 3, safe places and safe processes to create an environment for growing wisdom. Wisdom tool number 4, sifting your mind with the pause, think, and act tool. Wisdom tool number 5, quick reference, biobalancing with the use of the repair tool, and it is another acrostics, REPAIR. And then wisdom tool number 6, the wheel of awareness and your 9 middle prefrontal cortex functions. So allow me to elaborate a little bit regarding why these tools are important in your process of developing what Dr. Dan Siegel calls mindsight and what I call wisdom. So in his book, The Pocket Guide to Interpersonal Neurobiology, published in 2012, Dr. Siegel identifies numerous strategies to assist a person to extract the best from their 9 middle prefrontal cortex functions. So here's a brief overview of what we're aiming for to accomplish with the use of these wisdom tools to extract the best out of your middle prefrontal cortex functions. So first, I encourage you, by the use of them, to take some time to create a safe place within your body to regulate and ready yourself to sift your mind by pausing, thinking, then acting per your life-affirming values. Then use the quick reference repair tool. You don't have to use them in sequence. You can use them individually, but there's a sequence and a flow to them if you'd like. Use the quick reference repair tool to recalibrate your mind when you are dysregulated and attune to messages from your higher power via your 9 middle prefrontal cortex functions. So why are these suggestions and these exercises and these wisdom tools so important? I'm glad you asked. So let me explain as I close this podcast about section 1. First, you'll want and need an internal safe place that you could access within the blink of your eye that places you in a calm and peaceful place in your mind, so your mind and your body connects with your God, yourself, and the helpful and life-giving processes and wisdom that you've acquired in your life and culled from people who wish for nothing but the best for you. So entering the safe place that you create, it helps you to create calm and grounds you. And whenever you're distressed or dysregulated, you'll want to recalibrate and reconnect as quickly as possible to your fund of knowledge and wisdom, and accessing your safe place is your portal of reentry. So creating a space to feel safe in your body and in your environment is also one of the best ways to demonstrate love to yourself. And engaging in this process to regulate your body will yield some of your best insights, wisdom, and other payoffs for you, your personal and relational benefit. So I've provided some suggestions in wisdom tool number 3 for you to consider as you contemplate the creation of your safe place. Second, when you visit your safe place, you're essentially taking a time out to take a time in to sift your mind, per what Dr. Siegel calls sifting your mind. And sifting is an acronym that stands for sensation, image, that is the vision or picture in your mind, feelings, and thoughts, SIFT, sifting, sensation, image, feelings, and thoughts. So Dr. Siegel would encourage you to focus your attention on these vital aspects of who you are to gain valuable information about what's going on in your mind, in your body, and in your spirit. Then interpret, integrate, and act according on what you discover about yourself and your relationships. So scheduling sacred time-ins each day, taking a time out so you can take a time in and examine yourself, enhances your ability to look within, to discover your thoughts, your feelings, your processes, your needs, your wants, your hurts, your ideas, and your solutions to situations in your life that deserve your attention, and the creation of responses that are caring and wise to yourself as well as to be applied with others in your life. So to assist you in your sifting process, I'll encourage you to use wisdom tool number 4, which I call the Pause, Think, Then Act tool, or PTA, as the purpose of the tool is to help you to ground, regulate, and pause to connect with and hear from your life-giving and life-affirming God. Pausing and tapping into your spirituality helps you to hear yourself, as well as the wisest part of you who accesses and clarifies what is essential in any given moment. And this quiet, reflective process that you're giving to yourself helps you to think of the wise insights that your brain desires for you to recall, then utilize in your decision-making to act on your behalf and on the behalf of others to produce the best possible options and outcomes that your mind has discerned and deemed are appropriate. Again, these are the behavioral brushstrokes. I mean, even being quiet is a behavioral brushstroke. Seeking and going to your safe place is a behavioral brushstroke. Pausing, thinking, and acting and breathing, and there's a lot of that's focused on helping you to ground yourself is a behavioral brushstroke. So finally, what I think is the biggest asset by creating and visiting your safe place each day is your process leads to what Dr. Siegel calls an awakened mind. An awakened mind provides you with the opportunity to access and keep your middle prefrontal cortex awake, as all of these activities, these wisdom tools are designed to assist you to be conscious, aware, thoughtful, compassionate, and wise. So being aware affords you with the opportunity to make deliberate, thoughtful, empathetic, mindful, enlightened, compassionate, intuitive, courageous, intentional, and life-giving decisions for your well-being and that of others. And your 9 middle prefrontal cortex functions work the best for you when you're safe, when you're sifting, and when you're biologically balanced. So in addition, these processes enlighten and prepare your mind and spirit to quickly recall with haste and with ease when, where, and how you will paint into reality the next wise, right, and practical decision or action or response to any circumstance that is deserving of your informed response. So remember, Dr. Siegel's concepts about neuroplasticity. The cells that fire together will wire together, and I'd like to add, those cells that fire and wire together will inspire together as well. So the information and the materials in section 1, they lay a foundation for the remainder of the book. And it's my goal that when these wisdom tools are developed and integrated into your daily activity, that they will profoundly assist you in your effort to cultivate an internal environment to facilitate and sustain self-awareness, safety in your innards, empowerment, relationship repair, and guide you to make good, sound, and wise decisions. So I encourage you to keep this verse in mind as you begin your journey. I love those who love me, and those who seek me will find me. That is the beautiful voice of wisdom as she is conveyed in Proverbs 8, verse 17. Well, so thank you for listening, and stay tuned for additional episodes where I'll share in greater detail about what is in the other sections of Cultivating Love, Wisdom for Life, and how you can get the most out of those exercises. So please visit my website, drkenmcgill.com, or my blog, drkenmcgill.me, for additional information about the release of the book, which I anticipate will be released in November 2025. Thank you. And again, I'm Dr. Ken McGill, author of the Cultivating Love book series, where integrated wisdom is the best way to live.